Good afternoon. My name is Kelvin. I am a senior curator of monuments and archaeology at the Museum of Human Sciences in Harare. I monitor quite a number of rock art sites, but I'm not limited to rock art because I am in charge of monuments. So we have a number of monuments. Some of them include stone-walled monuments, rock art, spiritual sites. We also have a liberation heritage in that category. So rock art is part of what I do. So you see that most of what I write is part of what I deal with on a daily basis. Like in this case, these are challenges that I'm going through in my line of work, which I write about. So in this case, we are focusing on the efforts that we are making in trying to preserve the rock art in Mavhuradonha Wilderness amongst power struggles between government departments, private players, and so on. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Mavhuradonha Wilderness is a place that is in northern Zimbabwe. Let me just skip to the next slide so that you see. Yeah, so that section in black is where Mavhuradonha is. So it's it's a place that is about 180 kilometers from Harare, and it's almost 600 square kilometers wide, and it covers part of the Great Dyke. If you know, the Great Dyke is one of the most important places with mineral deposits in Zim, and it crosses almost in the middle of the whole country. It's a series, or it's a range of mountains, but with so much mineral deposits. So Mavhuradonha Wilderness was declared as a wilderness area in 1988, and then through a statutory instrument number 6 of 2017, it was declared a national monument because of the unique cultural heritage and the natural as well. It has a lot of biodiversity. So among the rock art sites, the monument is quite a number of rock art sites, and they showcase almost the common things that we were talking about in this. I will not dwell on that as much, but we have very beautiful paintings in Mavhuradonha, zebra, palm prints, giraffes, elephants, and so forth. So I repeated that picture deliberately because one of the main challenges in Mavhuradonha is mining, both legal and illegal. That rock art site is a prospecting peg or a mining peg of one of the blocks just 5 meters in front of the rock art site, and there's a lot of mining going around, fighting battles between officials and the miners. I will not mention their nationalities because it's because of the possibility of this being online. So we have a number of the rock art sites which are endangered. You know, mining in itself is the danger is inherent dangers because of dusts, because of the impact of heavy machinery to the rocks. So when we tried to, as an authority, we tried to engage, you know, government to government. We tried to engage the Minister of Mines and Mining Development so that we try and reach a consensus without fighting in public. They just responded that we are not able to sterilize this whole area because the government is in need of income. So we get back to the argument that Nick was bringing out, I think it was the first or the second day, whereby heritage managers must talk figures so that we compare what we are trying to save versus what the mines are bringing on the table. So that's what they said to us. And then, so yeah, like I highlighted, those are some of, like we had gone for an inspection and we realized that those heavy machinery, this is right in the monument, but on the edges. And there's that kind of open cast mining, which is obviously dangerous to any cultural heritage. And in the wilderness, the biodiversity includes wild animals. There's a whole range of animals that reside in the wilderness. It's a very beautiful place when you just go beyond what they are doing there. And this poses a danger to the animals as well, because the land degradation, the amount of degradation left there is just enormous. There are so many deep holes across the landscape there. So we have stakeholders that are involved. National Museums is the authority behind national monuments, but we also have the Muzarabani Rural District Council, where Mavhuradonha is wholly situated. They also have a say in this land, and there's a campfire project whereby the safari operators contribute, I think it's about 30% or so of whatever they collect in Mavhuradonha for the development of the communities. So it is the Muzarabani Rural District Council who manages those funds. So they are a very much interested partner in the conservation of this monument. We also have ZIMPAX, or Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife. Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife is so much interested because all the animals are theirs. They are in charge. Their act is in charge of the animals and part of the green or the plants. And then we have Minister of Mines, who I've already introduced, but maybe not in a very nice way, because when we negotiated with them, we realized that there are over 54 mining grants, or mining blocks, which are already pegged within the monument. They are not being mined, most of them, but they are already there. These people have licenses and they are paying their yearly license fees for these mines that are within a national monument. So that's a very big challenge that we have there. So and the one of the big stakeholders is the Environmental Management Authority or agency. The EMA is a very powerful stakeholder, but when we went there and found some miners legally having a mining certificate, they legally have an EMA certificate, we asked them, because under normal circumstances, before an environmental impact assessment is given, certificate is given, consultations are made, and we are supposed to give consent. This is the norm in almost every other project. But we found this one miner having all these papers without the RDC. Had never been consulted, because we went together as stakeholders, and we found out that the Rural District Council had not been consulted, the police had not been consulted, national museums had not been consulted, but the people had this certificate. So we're questioning how was it issued without the consent of other important stakeholders. But in that case, EMA just responded that we are not allowed to refuse anyone that certificate if he has a legitimate mining license, which is not very true, because all the other departments were supposed to be consulted. But there's something that happened which will be an argument for another day. So these are the kind of loopholes that we encountering, and the challenges. Obviously, they are political in managing some of these heritage sites. So this is the argument that we are putting forward, that we suggest that there be legal harmonization. I'm glad the day before yesterday, I was told that the Parks and Wildlife Act has been amended. They now have a new one since the day before yesterday. And the National Heritage Act has been under review, I think, for the past 10 years, and we are not sure if it all is still being reviewed. But why we need such reviews is that we are using an act from 1972. And we all know from history that when the colonial team occupied Mashonaland in Zim, it's documented, they were looking for minerals. So it's not a coincidence that when they were putting these acts in place, the Mines and Minerals Act was superseding all the other acts, or it is more powerful than all the other acts, because that's what they were looking for. So anything nothing was allowed to stand in the way of exploiting minerals. So that is why we need to harmonize these laws of ours. For your information, Zimbabwe is one of the, or maybe the only country in the world to be named after an archaeological site, showing that it's very, cultural heritage is that important to the country. But we are just using colonial laws in managing heritage, and it's not compatible. So one of our recommendations is that we be able to harmonize these legislations, and so that we are able to maintain the recommended buffer zones, and also include genuinely the local communities, because they have a voice. They have good suggestions. They've been taking care of this heritage from time immemorial. We found it intact because of them. So they know how to keep or to care for this heritage, sometimes more than we do. So we need to hear their voices as well. Thank you so much.
All right, do we have any questions in the room?
Thanks very much for your presentation, and I feel your frustration. Here we have, for a mining permit to be approved, part of that will be the rehabilitation process. Do you have such protective measures there?
Sorry, can you go again?
So I speak from my knowledge in the Eastern Cape. For permission to be granted for something like mining, part of that permission will be for the mining developer to submit a detailed rehabilitation process. So once the mining is complete, they will have to undertake a number of measures to return the area to a more or less pre-mining state.
Okay, thank you for that question. The procedure is basically the same. They are supposed to produce that plan before they start mining. And before they can receive an environmental impact assessment, that's one of the requirements. But, you know, when this is just a procedural thing that has not been followed. So it's more of we need to have the laws that are there in their defective form. If they are followed, conservation will be easier. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Mine is on looking at how pristine that site is, and also the mining which was allowed to go on. I think we had a similar instance in Zambia, which I'm sure you're aware of. You know, Manapuz, there's Lower Zambezi National Park.
Yep. And
mining was given for people to mine in the Lower Zambezi. Despite the noise which we tried to make, they were adamant because the minister had given a go-ahead. Okay, but then what helped us was that, you know, civil societies at times they carry a bigger voice. I don't know how strong they are in Zimbabwe, because eventually they had to go to court. And right now, as I speak, I think that mining was stopped. I know there are also concerns from Zimbabwe that, I mean, how do you mine next to a World Heritage Site? So not knowing in Zimbabwe, maybe the question is how strong NGOs or civil societies, whom at times you can whisper to start making noise on such developments.
Civil society makes noise, but the community makes noise that's louder. I'll give you an example. Near Domboshawa is a rock art site which had been earmarked, and someone had a license to do granite quarry for 3/4 stones. And when they were bringing their machinery, that's when the community was aware that our heritage is going to be destroyed. They mobilized themselves and stood on the way, and that's when that thing was on the news and everything, until that mining license was cancelled. So that's why I said we will continue engaging with the local communities, the chiefs, and more, because they are the voters. So if anything has some political connotations, they have a voice which is louder than even the NGOs. Because unfortunately for Zim, NGOs have been so much associated with opposition politics. So the community would help us better. Yeah.
My question is, on your point of view, what is the real wish or support of the government to go forward and to review the different regulation and legislation tools, and because and also how it is linked with the pressure of, for example, China or Australia, and also European countries that need so much resources from the ground to be able to do their environmental transition.
Maybe I'll answer that in 3 parts. Number one is that the Mavhuradonha means the place of falling water, because it is a large catchment of the lower Muzarabani area. All the water that they drink, they use, comes from that area. So it's agreed that we do not need to poison the water sources from that area. That's number one. Number two, our wish is that the National Heritage Act be revised as quickly as possible, so that we have harmony with the current constitution that we have and other laws, because in its current state, it cannot stop the illegal mining and other activities that are happening there. But for that place to be declared a national monument, consultations were made with all these other stakeholders, and the government agreed that no, this place is important and it has to be preserved. So the third thing that we want is just what's the word? Normal policing. If someone is breaking the law, they must be arrested without evaluating the weight of the person in the community or something like that, or without having to, consider which country are they coming from. Are they coming from China or Europe? If they are wrong, they are wrong. This place is a national monument. You cannot just go there and start destroying the heritage without consulting the responsible authorities.
While we are on that note, we say you cannot just go and do that. The challenge here that I seem to see is a question I was going to ask and say, do we have at this time protection of the site in the form of land rights by the national museums? Or is it just protected only by legal instrument as a national monument? Because that is the problem I'm seeing in many places in Southern Africa, including in Botswana, where we say, that's a national monument and people know about it, what. And stakeholders know about it, land board, etc., and whoever. But once there is a conflicting need of that space for mining or whatever development, then we are putting ourselves as heritage managers at the disadvantage of being seen as being reactive and reacting, instead of having taken other enforcements, such as actual land ownership, land rights, beyond just the nominal protection that comes from the legal instrument. And that is what I really feel like we need to think about and be militant about it and go ahead and get land rights. At least in Botswana, I know that's the situation. Thank you.
Thank you for that. For your own information, we are currently in the process, because of this particular monument, we are currently in the process of getting title deeds for all our monuments, so that at least with titles, we are able to defend ourselves even more. When our act is weak, the land rights will help us. So it has taught us a lesson, a big, big lesson.
Just want to make two quick comments. And the first comment is I take note of the recommendation for NGOs. But where is Karina? I don't see her here. One of the challenges I've been giving to her is that at what point do we critically evaluate who is funding these NGOs? Because that's my political problem. I'm following a lot of mining cases in South Africa, and you find all the Africans put in the forefront with very expensively printed placards, campaigning against a proposed mine. You never see people of other races, but they are funding, behind the scenes, because those very people who don't even know where the next plate of food is going to come from, those are the ones who are against mine in the name of protecting their heritage. That's my ethical problem. I'll give an example with Mapungobo and the Vele mine. I was personally involved in that. Once, there was a coalition against that mine. I saw some of the people who were being buzzed in, and you knew very well that this person, even if they have a job for the next 6 months, they will appreciate that job more than preventing that mine when they don't have any other job and they are told ecotourism is going to feed them when they are in a place where such is not possible. That's my first comment. You don't have to respond to it. The second comment, which you might want to respond to, is I had the honor of being invited in February 2022 to review the Zimbabwean draft legislation. And quite frankly, it is very disappointing. I do not see anything different between that draft and your 1972 Act. So I have no hope that it is going to assist you in any event. And directly linked to that, you just have to make peace with the fact that even in South Africa, this is the case. Mining laws will always supersede your heritage laws. It's a reality that we have to live with. And it is exactly what is happening in South Africa. At times, the mining authority will be given without even you having ever seen an impact assessment.
Yeah.
And that's a reality. And the sooner we accept that, the better. And lastly, Philip is talking about title deeds. Remember, you are government. The fact that you have got the title deed to this site doesn't mean that the national government cannot authorize mining if they want to do mining there. Because you are government. It is government's land. It is government telling you that we want to authorize mining here. So you can have the title deed. It serves no purpose. I'm being practical. I'm just being practical based on my South African experiences. I can quote many other case studies, but in South Africa, trust me, if the national government, which is Department of Minerals and Energy, has given that approval, that mine will happen, whether you like it or not. People, and those people who, sometimes the people who are opposed to mine don't have the financial capability, even for these NGOs, to fight a foreign company in South Africa for 10 years, going to court, and the matter is forever delayed, challenging the mining license. You end up having to come and sit around the table with the mining company and say, how can we find each other? And this is what I see happening. After spending all that money, you go back and negotiate with them. The mine still continues.